Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Welcome to the Personal Development and Training. My name is Wendy Morgan. I am your host, and today we have an absolutely wonderful and most special guest. We have Dr. Velvetz. Dr. Velvetz is going to be speaking about the harmony and balance of the tummy reduction protocol of photobiomodulation. I take that back. And I know we're all very excited to meet her. So I'm going to allow her to come on. Dr. Velvetz, if you please unmute yourself.
Awesome. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that. I know it's pretty rough because we've gotten used to using that protocol, and because the patching protocol, we kind of do that, but we want to stay in compliance. And so that's why we've renamed this biomodulation, because it really is about a movement within the tummy. So if you guys are ready for me to start, I want to kick this off by providing you guys with someone who has been following the tummy. I almost did it, the tummy reduction biomodulation, and she had an amazing story. So Gail Zolo, you want to unmute yourself? And Gail, hi. So could you just tell everybody the reason why you started the tummy reduction?
Yes, I have my notes here, so I'm going to try to be as succinct as possible. Well, I had acquired this stubborn belly fat in the last 4 years, and belly fat is associated with morbidity, especially in women. So I was trying so hard for the last 4 years to do it, and it wouldn't budge. Now, I had been exposed to mold in an apartment, and that is notoriously one way that can happen. So that was my reason why I tried it.
Very, very good. And so I know that you weren't having any movement, and you were kind of going through the whole reduction program, and then tell them what happened.
Yeah. Okay, so I had 3 very distinct effects. Number one, I had 0 changes in the circumference, and I needed to get rid of not a lot in the belly. I mean, that fat is only about 1 inch in circumference, but it didn't budge. The second week, so last week, I finally did see I had 10 extra pounds that I couldn't get rid of as well in the last 4 years. And finally, I lost 5. And I think that means it's going to start moving, and I'm probably going to offload the rest eventually. It got my metabolic processes moving, I think. So the third effect is where I was stunned. So I have to give you a context, and bear with me. I'll try to do it as succinctly as possible. I believe this gut challenge, or the biomodulation, supercharged my gut healing. Now, I have a pretty extensive history of gut damage, and I want you to understand the impact of it. So, I had had gut damage since 1999 with an oral procedure for a crown, where an endodontist poured mercury in my gum line by accident. So I was poisoned by mercury, and in less than a month, I lost 30 pounds, which was a very large percentage of my body weight. And I started to have all sorts of food allergies. So now fast forward, to the 2016, I started to, well, let me back up a little bit. So in 2005, I had breast cancer, then I had Lyme, and then I had exposures to mold. And so, I mean, I had a long list of stuff. And all through that, because most of the time medicine had just made it worse, I fought all those conditions with adequate care, without any pharma and radiation and chemo. But in 2016, my gut kept getting worse. And so these are the symptoms. So I had super high histamine reactions very frequently, whole body hives as food reactions. I developed fear of some foods. My disorder, the immune system disorder, became what is called a mast cell disorder. And I had brain fog, bloating, pain, acute inflammation, sometimes of the colon and small intestine. I had SIBO, and that what they kept describing is you have leaky gut and we need to heal this. Well, it wouldn't heal. And so, and eventually a broken gut means a broken immune system, means autoimmune conditions. And I collected 2 more diagnoses.
Right.
So-
right. So let's go ahead. Yeah, that's a lot. And we're going to cover why those inflammations can take place and how it and how the tummy reduction can aid in that. So tell them what that last result was after you were in that.
Yes. So this is where I was really surprised. So I went to 2 gatherings. There are home fellowships and we have potlucks. And the first one was kind of, I was not able to come home and pick up my stuff. So I went there barehanded. And it's not a big deal for my friends, but that meant there was nothing I could eat. So I got really bold and I picked a dish that was going to be the least impact, but it had 3 foods in there that are big no-nos for the type of food diet that I had been put on, which is a low FODMAP diet. It had, for anybody who knows what that is, so the things I ate were beans, corn, and onions. That would have been an explosive thing for me. Nothing. I didn't have any reaction. And I was, to be honest, I was probably skeptic. I was incredulous. I didn't do anything. I didn't test my gut anymore until the second gathering where I thought, okay, I'm going to test it this time because now I had all these foods available. And I just kind of pushed the limit. I even had a little bit of gluten in the form of spelt. I mean, I had things and I overate to boot, which can be very dangerous. And I had no reaction. And then when I realized, I thought it's the patching.
Yes.
Because what it did is just ramped up all the healing locally. Mm-hmm. And the lining of the gut is 1 cell thick. So with stem cells, we're bringing online quite a lot of cells. So anyway, that's my story. But I do want to say, I had gotten on the patches in late March, and I was taking the X39, X49, Eon, SP6, Alavita, and Silent Night. I didn't bring on board the glutathione and the carnosine until about 2 months ago, and I did the tummy biomodulation just in these last 2 weeks. So I'm still on adaptogen herbs, and I'm going to be very careful, and I'm still offloading heavy metals and pathogens. But I am so excited because this healing, it's 24 years, and this has condensed it in months.
Very good. Very good. I'm really glad to hear that has happened. And so we want to be very, very clear. When we're talking about the tummy reduction modulation, it goes right along with what Gail is saying. It's bringing balance, bringing harmony. It's getting deeper into the gut. So with that being said, I want to make sure that everybody knows that this is not a weight loss system. So why did I do this? And why do I share it with other people? Well, because, yes, Wendy.
So thank you very much. Thank you, Gail, for sharing your testimony. I truly appreciate it. But Dr. Velvetz, if you could let everybody know a little bit about who you are, because a lot of people don't know you and what it is you do. So if you could do a little introduction, that would be great.
Absolutely. That would be great. Yes, I forget about myself sometimes because I get so excited about helping other people. Yes, I'm Dr. Velvetz and I am a metaphysician. So what does that mean? So a metaphysician looks at the physical part as well as the spiritual part. So we study a lot about herbs, but we also look at the root causes of things that are causing imbalance, dis-ease within an individual. We're also looking at the energy that can impact a physical being. And so our physical bodies are made up of energy, and that's why metaphysicians love frequency patch, right? That's what we know. It's absolute. But we know that we're an energy being. So we work with energy, metaphysicians work with energy and helping people to find that groove, to find alignment so that they have greater ease, greater balance, and greater harmony in their life. And so when it comes to the tummy reduction biomodulation, this is where I found my niche of being able to really enliven individuals, because when we have a sick gut, it shows in our world in other ways: anger, emotional issues, the way that our face looks, the way our hair looks. So thank you, Wendy, for letting me share a little bit about what I do. I appreciate that. All right, so many of you may be wondering, well, how did this come about and why are you using it? Why did you start it? Actually, I had an eye injury, and because of the eye injury, I was restricted in my exercise. I had to lay completely still. I couldn't move. And the other thing I was thinking about is, oh my gosh, they're going to be putting me to sleep. And we all know that that's toxicity. So I wanted to be able to do something for my body that was going to build health prior to what they were going to do to me for the surgery, but I also wanted to be able to have a really good elimination system. So the really big reason that I did this is because I'm a researcher. I love scientific studies and I test on myself all the time. If you guys could only hear the stories of where there were times I thought that I had killed myself with taking things, but this one I felt very, very safe with. So I wanted to test its effectiveness and then show folks that this was possible. And so I was the guinea pig, and I'm going to share with you my round this year and the things that I experimented with so that you don't have to. All right. So that's why I did this. Again, it's very, very important to understand this is not a weight loss system, and you do not want your clients or yourself looking at that scale of like, gosh, I'm not losing any weight. I'm not losing any weight. That's an indoctrination. And I'm going to show you in a little bit how true that is. So what we're doing with this biomodulation is we're using 3 specific patches that are going to increase lean muscle mass, decrease inflammation. That's key. It's just like what Gail was saying. She was having so much inflammation, and it took a bit for it to jumpstart, but it finally did. We're also using a patch that's decreasing cravings and appetite to help encourage good eating habits. And I'm going to explain this along the way too, but I'm going to just jump ahead just a little bit. You're teaching your client also how to listen to their body, because when you're doing this particular program, your body's going to say, oh, that doesn't make me feel good when I eat that. And we've got to learn to listen to it. And the other thing that's taken place here is that we're improving organ function. So if we can improve the tummy area, the tummy is related to all kinds of health issues. And like Gail was saying, brain fog. Who would have ever thought that your gut would have created brain fog? But it does, right? So again, it's not a weight loss system. So then what is it? It's biomodulation. And what does that mean? It's jump starting. It's like taking off, putting those patches on, and it's improving the cells. You're getting energy back into that mitochondria. And, you know, the glutathione patch that we're using, we're going to talk about that. It's cleaning those toxins out, right? It's going in there, scouring everything out. And the mitochondria are going like, oh, I feel great. So you're going to have more energy as you're doing this program. So the better way to describe what is happening with the tummy reduction program is that it's activating. These are all words that you guys have heard before. It's stimulating. It's encouraging, right? So that might be a new one for you. Well, what is it encouraging? It's encouraging you and your client to become friends with your body and listening to hey, when I had that donut this morning, I didn't feel as good as I normally do when I eat it. Something must be changing. Rejuvenating, repairing, and balance. Those are all of the things that are taking place. But where does dis-ease begin? Why are our guts sluggish? So when we look at the stress that we endure, we're talking about physical stress, mental stress, emotional stress, spiritual stress. The more stress that is placed upon our body, the more that it impacts our stomach. It slows down the digestion, right? And it creates stress on the organs. And if you guys have been listening to David talk about the telomeres, stress is directly related in when those telomeres begin to break off, right? So that's what causes digestive disorders, is that all of the stress that we're having. But the main stress is showing up as inflammation. So are we addressing it incorrectly? Are we addressing inflammation incorrectly when it comes to diets, when it comes to weight loss? Again, this is not a weight loss. This is about rebalancing and bringing everything into harmony. So these special patches, they're working at bringing down that inflammation, right? Are we ignoring the root cause? What are other root causes? And here's one for you. What if fat is a protection mechanism? What if it is, right, Wendy? Right? All the toxins, where is it going? It's going into your fat, right? And your body is protecting you. So we've got to figure out, wait a minute, what is it that I'm taking in that the fat now is producing to protect me? That's going to be any kind of, drugs, alcohol, anything that you've taken in of processed foods, those kind of things. The body's going to try to protect you. And why is fatty liver so prevalent in our society right now, right? We got to look at that too. So why do we have sometimes a gain weight when we exercise? How many times you've been told, go out there and exercise, and you're going to lose weight, burn off more calories. You can eat more calories if you work out more. I can tell you, I'm one of these people that if I work out in a strenuous way, I gain weight because it's putting too much stress on my body. And so there's an inflammatory response that happens and I blow up like a balloon, it's just like something else. So why is the skin breaking out? All of these are related to inflammatory issues, such as what Gail was talking about, allergies. She had an amount of food allergies that was causing her to be out of balance. So what we have to do is we have to educate ourselves on inflammatory foods, because what we put into the body matters. And many of you may not know that dairy is an inflammatory food. Wheat is an inflammatory food. I believe that we all know that refined sugar is an inflammatory food. We still eat it and we pay for it, but we got to work at getting the refined sugar out. Red meats actually are an inflammatory food. GMO corn, fried food. Who doesn't like fried food, right? If it's done in moderation, I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. But what's happened is we have a more abundant fast food, fried foods. And I will say this, and I don't want to stir up too much, but I don't know how many of you know that the meat that is going to be bioengineered does not have to be approved now. So you have no label letting you know whether it was created fake or if it's real. We do not know the impact this is going to have on our body. And it may be that we're eating chicken and a salad every night and we're wondering what's happened. We might need to check out what's going on. We might need to find out what additives have been put into that food secretly. So let's be aware. Let's educate our clients. We are educators because we love people to live better lives. I always say, When you feel better, you do better. So these are foods that are non-inflammatory, but they can become inflammatory if they have a lot of pesticides on them. If the salmon down here is raised in an environment that is toxic. So we've got to pay attention to the quality of the food that we're eating as well as what we are eating. So we're going to put things into perspective here for a little bit. This is where I said this is going to get really interesting, right? Because The Rock, man, he is The Rock. You know, he's 6'5" and he's 265 pounds. You know, that's amazing, right? You know, wow. So is the guy over on the left of your screen. He's the same exact size, measurement-wise, as The Rock. Now, can you see how important the tummy reduction program is compared to a weight loss program? The two women that are in the center of the page here, they both weigh exactly the same. But as you can see, one is more lean, more firm because of building lean muscle. They weigh the same, they look differently. So this is why last year when I did this, everybody was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? How much weight have you lost? And when I say, oh, I've only lost 2 pounds, they go, oh, you're lying, right? No, I wasn't lying. That was exactly what I weighed when they asked that, is that, hey, I only lost 2 pounds. But I was already dropping dress sizes faster than the weeks were going by. So let's talk about those cycles a little bit. So here I am at the clinic, and on this one, the only reason that I'm showing you this slide is because after the 5th week, I had already lost 22 inches. 22 inches. Yes. So I'm only on my first day of my 4th cycle, and I have already lost 25 inches this second time around, right? Ask me how much weight I've lost, I would be embarrassed to say. I've gone up and down on the scale. I've had some experimenting I've been doing, but when it comes to inches, you look amazing. So here it is, not very much weight loss, but look at the difference in me. And this is only 18 days. It's not even a full month. That's how powerful these patches are. So let's talk about, well, and here's another one that did it with me last year. Look at this. This is her 2nd cycle. She forgot to take a picture at her 1st cycle because she was kind of like, oh, I can't lose weight. You can see it right here. She says, for multiple reasons, I can't lose weight. Well, she decided not to take a picture. And then when she noticed, like, oh, wait a minute, I better start taking pictures. Look at the difference. And that's only on her 5th cycle. That's not even her 6th cycle, right? And so it was just absolutely amazing. So how is this working? Well, and I'm using the patching protocol system because that's exactly where I found it. It's a website you can go to. They've got all of these things that they call protocols, but keep in mind, these people are acupuncturists that are putting them together. So they're using the language that fits their career, their specialty. Just like for me with quantum biofeedback, my word is modules because that's my professional term in what I am doing, all right? So how is it working? It's laying specific patches on specific acupuncture points or acupressure points that are going to stimulate rejuvenation, decrease in inflammation. And as you can see here, the patches have been clinically proven to reduce inflammation within 5 minutes after we've put them on our body. And I am going to share with you why is it that I can't just wear these patches anywhere, all right? So the first patch we're going to talk about is the Eon. And studies have proven that the Eon patch is reducing inflammation, but it's also improving organ function. And many of you may not have known that. So this Eon patch is going to function as a support mechanism for anti-inflammatory, and it's going to improve the effects of cellular organ function. This patch is going right down the conception vessel. So it's going to spread out, and that conception vessel, when you're putting it on there, a lot of times people say, wow, I could feel that. I didn't even know I had issues in my stomach, you know, and you can feel it releasing. And I'm going to go ahead and share this, but on day one, and you're going to get to know this, day one in cycle one, and it's always day one, I have a big bowel movement day. Because of where that patch is laying and where the other two patches are going, it's stimulating my internal organs. And it doesn't mean you're in the bathroom all day. It just means it's working and it's relaxing the system to get rid of that old gunk. Now, the glutathione, I believe that we all know at this time that it's our master antioxidant. And it really plays an important role when you're doing the tummy program, because it's hard to believe. I used to know a colonic lady, and she told me that there was a woman that came in and got a colonic because of her allergies. And she said when she did the colonic that she had corn in her gut that she hasn't eaten in 5 years, corn, but that was coming out. So you may be thinking that your colon is clean because you're having a regular bowel movement every day, but that's not necessarily true. So the glutathione helps to release those toxins, get that oxidative stress down, and it increases that blood, decreasing the stress, which increases your health and performance. So glutathione to me helps to provide me with some energy that I need while I'm detoxing, right? Now the SP6, I can just put that anywhere, Dr. Velvetz, and I'll be fine. I won't have any cravings, but they don't have the same results. So even though the SP6 Complete is to maximize your healthy diet and supports you in metabolic responses, it helps to reduce cravings, it lessens your hunger. And we've got a science here that you can go onto your LifeWave back office or in your front, and you can go see where it's improving your liver, your pancreas, your right and left kidneys. All of those things have been proven, 97%, with a significant improvement in the function of the thyroid, intestines, hypothalamus. I mean, your intestines and hypothalamus, I mean, come on. This is a perfect matchup for this tummy program, and acting in a way to where it's activating specific a place with your spleen and your stomach. So let's talk about where we place them and how these days go. So the first day, and I'll show you this slide here in just a second, so don't worry about this because I just need you to see where the patches are placed. So you're going to place an Eon above your belly button and a glutathione to the right and an SP6 to the left. All right, that's your first day. You're going to wear it for 12 hours. Some people love to come up to why they can't wear the patches for 12 hours, but they can wear them at night. You don't have to wear them during the day. You can put them on at night if you're worried about them coming off. And actually, I'm supposed to start day one in my 4th cycle, and I'm not wearing my patches right now because my daytime activity is the patches are kind of like bothering me a little bit. So I've decided, well, I'm going to try it at night, and it's not going to be a problem. Day 2, the patches come down closer to the belly button, Eon on the top, glutathione on the right, and SP6 on the left. Day 3, Eon drops below the belly button, glutathione to the right, and SP to the left. You're going to do, this is the 3 days, 1, 2, and 3 is considered one cycle. You're going to do 6 cycles of this day 1, 2, and 3. That's going to be a total of 18 days. Just imagine 18 days and losing over 33 inches. Pretty amazing. Wear them for 12 hours. Get rid of them. Give your body a break. So here's some questions that are always asked to me. Well, I always wear an Eon when I wear my X39. Can I just go ahead and put that on at night after I take this Eon patch off during the day? No. Take it off, throw it away, and put something else on if you're wearing an X39 at night. Do an Alavita at night. Do a carnosine patch at night if you want to. All right, so placement is important. And I'm going to tell you how I know this, because like I said, I like to be the guinea pig. So the guinea pig said, okay, let's just put the SP6, the glutathione, and the Eon where you normally put them. And let's do a full 3-day cycle with that. It does not work. It was ineffective. There were no inches lost whatsoever. The other thing is that I last year, there were people that said, oh, I don't have a glutathione patch, but I'm going to put a carnosine patch there. They are different. You must follow the protocol as it is. And then they come back to me and they say, oh, but Dr. Velvet, I'm not losing any inches. Well, what patches are you using? Well, I use carnosine instead of the glutathione, and instead of SP6, I use something else. Well, you know, you got to follow it if you want it to, if it's been shown that it works in the placement that it is, why mess it up? Why do you want to change it? So if you got, and I will give you the link to the Teachable account, because these are all downloadable links. They are on several areas. They're on Telegram. You'll have all the links at the end so that if you want these forms, you can use them. The reason that I came up with this one is because I used to have the cycles hung up on my mirror, and then I would have a chart. Well, then it was like, okay, what day am I on? And if I'm having that issue, others were having that issue. So I decided to put them all on one chart. And I also decided to put them where the instructions are. 4 fingers above the belly button the first day means your 4 fingers, and plus 2 equals 6. And that's right above your belly button. When you put the patch on, it goes right above that 6th finger. Okay. So when it says glutathione right side, 3 fingers beside your belly button, here's your belly button, 3 fingers over, right? And then your patch goes right beside it. Left side, 3 fingers across, 3 fingers above, and there you go. So if my belly button's here, 3 fingers above, 3 fingers over, there's my patch. Easy peasy. The next day, the Eon is your thumb, just above your belly button. So here's my belly button, here's my thumb, my patch goes right here. And so it's simple to follow. The Eon is 2 fingers below the belly button on the 3rd day. So you've got your 2 fingers, here's your belly button, 2 fingers down, put the patch right there. And after a while, you'll, like on that 2nd cycle, you're like, oh, I know where to slap those patches, you know, so you're not going to have an issue with where to put them. If they become sensitive to you, and I will tell you, day 2 becomes very, very sensitive to me. I do not understand why. It'll itch where the Eon is. My belly button will itch, and I feel like I just want to claw it off. Right. So that's one of the reasons I'm going to start wearing it at night. So you still have to place them there. I tell people if you can get like a little T that comes down, or if you can get that high band that comes up like an underwear, you can just put it on top of your underwear or on your bottom t-shirt. You don't have to put them directly on the skin. I will say this one when it comes to surgeries and stuff. Well, here it is. So a lot of the questions that I get is, what about the scars after surgery? So when they are cutting you down, if you've had abdominal surgery, they are going to go around the belly button. A doctor, very rarely, I've never seen it where they're going to cut through the belly button. There's a reason for that. They're going to cut down and then they're going to curve off. So let's say that you've had abdominal surgery, you're going to go to the right of the scar. You're always going to go to the right of the scar because that's what they're doing. They're going to go to the right of the belly button. So if you've had a recent surgery, please don't do this, because your stomach is already healing. Put an Eon on there, for goodness sakes, and allow the inflammation to go down. Allow your body to heal before you start asking it to do something new. So several people wanted to do it with an ostomy, and I had a friend who had an ileostomy put in last year, and there would be no way that I would have done the protocol with him because there's several reasons for that. First of all, an ileostomy individual doesn't get to eat like normal people do, and they have a hard time holding on to weight anyway. So this is just not something that they need to be doing. Regular for the other ostomy, it really would depend on how long you've had that ostomy. But if it's a new ostomy, I would not recommend this to anyone. I would let their innards heal. And a lot of times those are going to be resectioned anyway. The other question I get is, can I do this right after childbirth? If you're nursing, you're going to lose inches anyway, because that's what the nursing does. It contracts that womb. We're going through a lot of calories. I wouldn't worry about it. I would let your hormones rest. I would allow everything come back into sync. I would not worry about my tummy right after childbirth. You can take care of that in a year if it's not gone back like you're used to seeing. So what are some of the common side effects that I've experienced? Well, sometimes a little bit of constipation if I'm not drinking enough electrolyte water, or if I'm eating too much yogurt, that can happen. Some of the other side effects is just the itchiness that I was telling you guys about. So, you know, you're going to be different. Everybody is different. You're going to experience maybe something else when you do this. And some people don't experience anything except for they feel great. They've gone to the bathroom like they've never gone before. And I will have to take a minute and tell you that I had a client that started the tummy program last year when I was doing it. And so I called her up after my surgery and I said, hey, you know, how did you do? She goes, well, I didn't lose any weight or inches, but I really didn't need to lose any weight or inches. She says, but I can tell you this, I am regular now. And I have not been regular in 15 years. So it did work. And she felt like she had more energy. She had a lot of arthritic issues. She said those started going away, right? So if our gut is clean and we're inflamed with arthritis, hey, guess what? Her brain fog, she said, cleared up. So a lot of the things that Gail said were clearing up for her. That's because it was gut related. So the client is still a client. She still buys the patches because she loves the effect that she has and wants to maintain that. So the other question many of you are going to ask is, well, how soon can I do another round? Because, you know, you lose, you know, like I've already lost 25 inches and you're like, oh, what are you going to do the next round? You know, because I've got some inches I can still lose. Well, I would give yourself a 2-week break. And here's why. I have found for myself that 2-week break allows my body a rest and allows everything to sync up. And here's what's amazing is that even after I stopped wearing the patches, day 1 were the same as if I was wearing them. Day 2 was the same and day 3 was the same. So on day 1, I have a big potty day. Day 2, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I want to take a nap. I think it's just the elimination of the toxins. And day 3, I have so much energy and so much clarity. I'm just like booming around. So you're going to experience something different, but you'll get to notice by taking a break from having the patches on is like, oh, wow, my body's doing this now on a regular basis without me wearing the patches. So you'll see some of that. All right. So the next thing is why do I have to wait 2 weeks to do another round? Well, I think I just gave that to you. Give yourself a break, let your body reset and get back into sync with what you're doing. Allow those healthy habits that you've now acquired in the 18 days. And, you know, people say, oh, but am I going to gain those inches back or that weight back as soon as I get off? I maintained that for over a year. The inches stayed off over a year. The weight, I actually, when I started this time, I weighed less than when I stopped my first cycle last year, or that last cycle. I weighed less. So no, you don't have to worry about that. That once you come off of the patches, you're going to gain all of the inches in the weight pack. It is beautiful to watch how this continues to work in your life. Do you have to exercise to increase the number of inches lost? I would recommend that if you are normally working out, then go right ahead and work out. But I thought the same thing, exercised out last year, and I started gaining the inches and started putting on the puffiness. And I said, no, no, no. And so I stopped. I didn't do it. So I didn't exercise while I did my 18 days. Now, exercise meaning hard workout exercises, not walking the dogs or playing with my kiddos or my pups, right? That's not included. Our housework is a real exercise workout for me. All right. Do you count calories? No, 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 no. This is not a restrictive diet. This is not a starvation diet. Do not do that. I will tell you though, in day 3, this happens for me, is that I will have to remind myself to eat. And then I found at the end of my cycle, as I was doing it that first time, I was having to remind myself, wait a minute, I don't think I've eaten today. So that's all starting to kind of get there too. You're going to learn to listen like, oh, am I really hungry or am I just eating to be eating, right? We do a lot of stress eating. So this isn't about cutting calories, folks. This is about eating foods that are healthy for you, becoming aware of how they inflame you. And what is going on if I'm not losing inches as quickly as others? You're healing. That's it. You've got deeper issues. Was it harder for me this time around than it was the first time? Yes. And I'll tell you why. Because I was under anesthesia. I've been under tremendous amount of stress taking care of a very ill individual. I wasn't sleeping at night. So all of that stress that built up inside of my body is now taking its time. But see, even with starting at this time and losing 25 inches, hey, I'm happy. I'm happy. And I plan on doing another round of those. All right, so those are some of the questions that I get asked all the time that you guys are probably thinking about. Now, I want you guys to understand that I can't always be here for answering those questions, but we have several communities. One of them is on Teachable, and you can go to drvelvetcourses.teachable.com and you can do that's an old name. So it's still, I think it's still a link. If you have any issues, reach out to me and I'll get you another link. And then the Dr. Velvetz Tummy Biomodulation is on Telegram. And then the Facebook is My Tummy Reduction. So all of those are a place for you to come and ask questions with your community, see what's going on with other people. And then I did provide you where I got the information in case you want to explore, right? There's other things you might be wondering about, but I'm going to caution you. They're using language that fits with their specialty. We are not in a specialty. I call us patchologists. That's what I call us. We're patchologists. And patchologists are just biomodulators. What is biomodulation? It's movement within the body. We are creating and stimulating and encouraging movement within the body. And we're using our own light to do that. So I'm going to caution you that if you go to this protocol thing, to be careful of telling people that when issues come up, oh yeah, you can go here and there's a protocol for that. Be careful. All right, just be careful.
If I may, Dr. Velvetz, all of those web links, guys, I will definitely put them in the recording replay on that page for you to follow. So don't worry about it if you didn't grab it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. I just wish to thank all of you for being here because this shows that you're ready to do something even greater for the people that you're working with and for yourself. And if in 18 days you haven't lost an inch, pay attention. Just like with the X39, we're saying, well, okay, you didn't have a liver spot removed from your face, but do you have more energy? Do you have more flexibility? Are you stronger? That's going to happen within your gut as well. Remember, it's about stimulating and encouraging a healing to occur naturally within the body. And we never know what someone else is experiencing. So that's why we can't say, oh, if you do this tummy reduction, then, you know, you're going to lose so many inches, or I can tell them what I did, right? But I even play that down a little bit because I don't want somebody to think that I shot the moon and that they've got to shoot the moon. It's about helping them to, you know, to feel better. Okay. So hopefully you guys have really gotten to see a lot in that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Velvetz. So we do have a few questions.
Okay.
So the first question that I'm going to address here is, what was that? Okay. Does it matter if I place the X39 below the belly button while doing this? So asked Julie. So in other words, you know, the last protocol where we have, or the placement, we have the AON right there. Is it okay to put the X39 there as well?
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm.
Great question, Julie. Next question. Janice would like to know, could you please show the 6 fingers again, just the top of the first cycle for the AON at
Yes.
above the belly button?
So here's my belly button. Here's 4 of my fingers and then 2 more fingers. And then that's where the patch is going to go, right on top. So that bottom of that patch is going to go right on there. Okay. So you got your 4 and 2, and then your patch right on top.
Yeah. So some people I've asked, you know, well, how do we know, you know, oh my gosh, you know, her fingers, how many inches is Dr. Velvetz's fingers? Guys, it's your own anatomy. It goes by your fingers.
And you know, my fingers are probably in relationship with my tummy, and your fingers are going to be in relationship with your tummy. So it's absolutely perfect.
Absolutely. Next question. Yes, this recording will be shared on Telegram in the Team Evolve and also the personal development and training groups. Next question from Sil. Can we use the same? Okay, I'm sure you have to extrapolate what she's meaning here. Can we use the same patches but in different places after the cycle? I wear the AON patch at night normally, so if I can do that cycle and then go back to my usual placements, I would love that.
Absolutely. And you're going to have 12 of those patches left over because you're only going to use 18 of them. So if you do that 2-week break, then you can put those patches where you normally put them and continue to support your body. And that's what I encourage everybody, that when they're buying that package to get that tummy reduction, you know, they're buying those 3. It's about $149, I think, and they're going to have 12 patches left over. Many of them have never even worn an X39 before. And so this is a great way for them to practice on putting these other patches.
Yep, absolutely. Another question Jenny has. So therefore, after doing the 18 days or the 18 weeks, and then 2 weeks off, we can definitely turn right around and do another 18 weeks if we feel necessary. Yes.
Right. And it's 18 days. So you were right.
Or 18 days. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes,
18 days, then 2 weeks off, and then another 18 days.
Yes.
Okay. So Janice says, oh, well, I've been doing the first cycle top AON patch much lower. I've got to go higher. Great job, Janice. And then there is one more question. I would like for you, please, to unmute yourself because this is a little bit more in depth. Let's see. Jenny also asked, can use raw sugar? I answered that one, which is no, guys. All cane sugar is inflammatory. You can use honey. You can use maple syrup as long as it's organic. And there's other sugars on the market that are non-inflammatory. Let's see here.
And that's a good point. And that's a good question, because what you want to do is that even though you're doing this, you don't want to continue to stimulate that inflammation. So at this point, you're learning how to reduce that inflammation by changing some of those things as well, right? So it's like you're not going to stop brushing your teeth just because you got an X39 on. You're going to continue to do the healthy things that are going to encourage it.
Yeah. Deanna, are you still on there? If you are, could you please unmute yourself? Deanna Sullivan.
Hello.
There we go. Deanna, could you please pose your question to her?
Oh, I had a question. I've had a lot of inflammation in my body came on after the traumatic loss of my husband. And so I just started using the the patches, the end of June. So working on that emotional stress that has caused this inflammation and all the inflammaging that I've incurred these past 7 years. But one of the things that I had noticed was when I ate egg, I had joint pain everywhere. And that was probably the first bout of an inflammatory issue that I had. And I felt like I was 98 years old. My grandmother was moving faster than I was at the time. And, I wasn't even 50. And so when I stopped eating egg, it all went away. So I've been off egg for a long time. I love eggs. I miss that because recently I discovered that chicken created inflammation where I had inflammation. So I have a knee issue. I ate chicken, my knee would blow up. So I've eliminated chicken. So I miss eggs for breakfast, protein. So I'm wondering if I have detoxed long enough off of the egg, and if I am improving my health by using the patches and decreasing the inflammation in my body, can I have an egg again?
Well, and we have to remember that the reason that we have a reaction to a food that we normally love, but then all of a sudden develop an aversion to it, that's what I'm going to call like a little allergy, is because our bucket has gotten too full. And our bucket gets full when we've experienced some kind of, like I said, emotional stress, physical, spiritual, mental stress. You've been under a lot of stress losing your husband. So you could give it a try and just see how you're doing with it, right? Because you got to listen to your own body. And if you're feeling that the inflammation is already starting to decrease quite a bit, you could start entering, trying those little things. However, I love that you're asking a question and that you shared with us about losing your husband and the emotional stress, because we have feelings that are related to our intestines. And so I would want you to just go very gentle on yourself. So like maybe if you start day one, that you don't wear that tummy outline all 12 of those hours, that maybe you try it 30 hours and then check in with yourself, make sure that your emotions are okay. Because as a massage therapist, one of the things that we know is when we start rubbing on people, emotions are going to start releasing. This is the same thing, but you're getting an energetic massage, right? So you get those deep-seated emotions in the gut. Just be gentle with yourself. Wear it for 3 hours. If you're okay, go ahead and put it on for another 3 hours. And make sure that you're not creating additional stress by having those patches on, okay? And then just test the foods a little bit. Some people do muscle testing. Some people do the pendulum, and that works for them. Whatever floats your boat's fine with me, but just find a way to check in with yourself on that.
Thank you.
That was a good question, because we needed we do need people to know that when you're wearing these patches, there are times where emotional issues can rise to the surface.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've noticed I am sensitive with a few of them at night. And I spoke to Wendy about that separately. And so, which is interesting, but I just appear to be kind of on the sensitive side. So.
Right. That's a good question. Thank you so much, Deanna. Okay, Wendy, you're muted.
I was wondering, like, this big flash. I'm like, not paying attention to that. Thank you. Thank you very much, Deanna. Really appreciate you coming forth and asking that question. Another question, can we use all our other patches, X3 and X49, as we normally do in other parts of our body?
Yeah, and so that's a good question too, because I decided to experiment and wear the 49 with all of the other patches just to see if there was going to be an increase in that lean muscle and it was basically the same, so if you're already wearing a 49, you're doing good with it, then go right ahead.
Yep. And was it Janice? I think she has another question here. Yeah, Janice. She says, I've been doing the tummy protocol and on day 2 of cycle 2, but I've got up and out of the house super early this morning and just realized that you were talking about the placement. And I looked at mine and saw I didn't even put mine on this morning. Hang on, it cut
I've
off.
done that.
So I just put them on about 30 minutes ago. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely. And just continue to wear them for the 12 hours. I've actually done that before. Like, oh, let me show you where my patches are. And I open them up like, whoa, I thought they were on.
That's so funny. Yeah, guys. So if you there's a lot of times that we wake up in the morning and we don't remember till, early afternoon. And mom, even though if it means you're not, if you go to bed 10 hours later, those 10 hours are better than nothing. So definitely put them on. Another question from Laura, will emotions ever abate? Yes. But Dr. B, I'm presuming, Laura, why don't you actually please unmute yourself and come on and actually explain where you're coming from?
Yeah, finding unmute is always difficult. I find I'm overly emotional. I can't even talk about it without crying. I have a very serious background of abuse. I've been in therapy most of my life. I'm a metaphysician also. I'm a therapist. I'm a social worker, all kinds of things. But since the patches, I'm just having overwhelming emotions.
I feel you, and I can tell you I have a client myself that the joy that she just feels will have her in an emotional moment. It's not always a sad thing, it's also a joy thing. And what we had to do is we kind of had to go slow with the patches, where we just did a couple of hours at a time. And have you been able to do that?
It never occurred to me to slow down. I'm always full speed ahead and damn the torpedoes.
Yeah, you're my kind of gal. I'm like that too.
I don't want to slow down. I want to get over it.
I
understand. All that therapy to stay stuck.
So homeopathics work as that less is more, right? So it's broken down into the millionth. And when we are as sensitive, like as an empath, we tend to interact with these patches in a very interesting way sometimes, Laura. And so that means that we kind of have to take it a little less, because our energy can go, our frequency, our vibration can raise up in frequency notches pretty quick. And that's going to leave a trail, right? That leaves a trail. All of that's left behind, and we're sorrowful for it, and we don't know what to do about it, right? So you got to go a little slow with yourself and allow yourself to increase in your frequency a little bit at a time. Yeah. Just
oh, darn.
Just a little bit at a time.
Laura, you're beautiful. And thank you very much for coming forth that question, because especially in this day and age, through this ascension process, we are eliminating so much in general. And by adding the patches, we're actually activating that to be released even stronger. So having, we all as practitioners, we have compassion for the other. Have compassion for you too, and kind of look at yourself like, if I were my own client, what would I tell them? So love you. And thank you so much for coming forward with that question. Jenny said, the X39, X49 on the bottom, or the X39, not the X49 at the bottom of the belly button. I wouldn't think it would make a difference, would it, Dr. B?
No, it doesn't, because you can wear the X49 below the belly button too, the X39 on the back of the neck. So if you're wearing the X49 on the back of the neck, you can put below the belly button the 39. And you can also stack, right? So when you go to, if you're normally wearing your 39 or 49 at your belly on that third day, put it on top of your Eon.
Yeah. What I have a tendency to, guys, is put your X39 back there and put your X49 just a slight bit below the Aeon. You can also wear that Aeon below your right knee on stomach 36 point. That is another point for it. That's actually where all the studies come from. And especially if you're menstruating, that is a better place to put your X49 is stomach 36 on the right or below the belly button, not behind the neck. That could create more hormonal issues. Next question from Lynn. Will there be a protocol to help? We're trying to get away from protocol, but I understand why you say that. Will there be a system, a biomodulation method that will help with colitis, included by or induced by an antibiotic after surgery 1 year ago? Oh, Lynn, God bless you.
Oh, that's a good question. And I will say, Lynn, that when I had perused the patching protocols, I actually think I saw something in there, right? So you might want to go and just check that out. However, the client that I was sharing with that didn't lose any inches, she was having colitis. And that's the reason that she still loves these patches, is because that the program, the biomodulation that occurred helped her, right? And so after you get that, then an Eon patch, because it reduces the inflammation.
Thank you. Thank you. And guys, with the patching protocol, there is some things you can access for free, but it is a paid service. It has been up for many, many years. It's been put together by many Oriental doctors and acupuncturists, so they've worked really hard on that. Let's see here. I've scrolled too far down. Chris, you said the lady with the testimony mentioned Lyme. Is this generally a good expectation that will help with overcoming the symptoms of Lyme?
So I wouldn't say in general, because we don't know each individual's body, how their energy is working within their body, or how the patches are going to interact with their energy. So you could give it a try and just see what happens for you. But I wouldn't say that the tummy protocol would be something that you would want to put a Lyme person on for that reason.
Right. Thank you. All right. So the next two questions, guys, are a little bit out of the purpose and the focus of why we are here. We're here just about the tummy biomodulation application to the belly to help us have a healthier, happier life that decreases the fat and the lipids within the body and increasing the muscle tissue and helping encourage and improve the function of our organs. That is really the main theme of why we are here today. So we will address the next two questions, but that is not the scope of why we are here. So the next question, Dr. Velvetz, I called you Dr. V. I hope that was okay.
Oh, I love Dr. V. I have a lot of people call me that.
You just seem like a nice Dr. V. I love it. So now Natalia says, will you suggest the use of the patches for a 9-month-old baby girl who has food allergies that has severe eczema on her face? Before Dr. V potentially addresses this question, I want to come across and say LifeWave does not condone using on pregnant women, nursing mothers, or babies or children or anybody under the age of 18, only strictly because we have not done any tests. That being said, it has to be an individual's choice, as is the same type of technology going out into the sun, receiving the sun's light wave to activate our body to make vitamin D. This is an individual choice. That being said, now that disclaimer is out of the way, Dr. V, do you have a thought on that?
The best way to address that would be an experience that I have with my puppies, right? My puppies would be less than 7-year-old in human time. They're only like 9 months old, right? And when they've gotten into a situation, I've patched them, but just minimal. What that means is that they wear the patch for an hour and then the patch comes off. Or it's a patch that's 2 days old that nobody else has worn, and I'll put it on them. And I'm going to just share my thought, and Wendy, you stop me anytime, is that we all have stem cells in our body, right? And children have plethora of stem cells. And my thought is I don't want to get in the way of anything that's naturally occurring, but I don't mind supporting just a tap, if that makes sense. We want to encourage their natural system to come up, but if they need relief, just a little, and then they should be able to take off, just like the pups do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree so for me, the patches, they do not add or push the body to do anything. They simply support the body. The body is never going to make too many stem cells, right, or too much peptides that decrease inflammation. No, they're going to make exactly what it wants to make, because that's called a homeostasis, right? So what I would suggest is your patches that you've used for yourself, yes, you can place them on your baby afterwards. Maybe not to the skin, maybe to the clothing, because they're already probably pre-sensitive, very sensitive anyway, because they're fairly little, and there's already has allergies. So I put them on the inside of the shirt versus on the skin. And leave them on, just like Dr. V said, just for a couple hours, and then remove that shirt. Now you can put that shirt back on again a couple hours later, like later on the day or tomorrow. You could definitely try that. Absolutely. But I definitely look more into what is going into that baby's mouth, or what's in that baby's environment that's potentially creating too much of something that you're seeing this allergic reaction. Gila, forgive me, I'm not going to necessarily answer this question. She wanted to know a protocol for menstrual pain. That one can be found on the Telegram page. There is some specific patch placements for that. If you can't find it, remind me and I'll look for it, because I think I do it, because my daughter is a recipient of menstrual pain. Moving on, Jenny. So X39, C7, X49 below the belly button for the tummy. Yep, that's great. Curious that the energy enhancer isn't part of the system. Yeah, it all has their placements. My dog has horrible allergies. I put the X-ray on and glutathione. Any suggestions? Well, I think Dr. V just kind of answered that.
Yeah.
That's it for today. Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. V. I really appreciate it. And I'm so glad we're connected. And this has been just a wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. I know that a lot of us are, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So everybody, I will make sure that the link to downloading those photographs of, the belly and the placements, et cetera, that she has created, and also keeping, the tracker, lack of better words, that also is there for you to print off. We'll have those links there for you on the replay when it's uploaded in those two spots. Any last words? Dr. V, any last words?
Yes, I just want to thank all of you guys for being here today and just expanding your knowledge and your awareness. You've got another tool in your toolkit now, and it's just so wonderful to see all of your beautiful faces. And I look forward to hearing your success. I love to hear success stories and what you experience. So please always feel free to reach out to me.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you again. And I look forward to, Dr. V and I are going to be collaborating on a couple different things in the future. So you'll be seeing her again. She's going to be a very familiar face. So
Thank
again,
you, Wendy, for your invite too. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have yourself a great day. And everybody else, enjoy your Tuesday. Later today, we have Dr. Stacy is going to be doing a Q&A. And then, of course, we have our patching podcast later. All right. Thank you again, Dr. V.
You're welcome. Thank you, Wendy.